Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony. And today we have Kevin Carter of the Balls in Our Court podcast. What is going on, Kevin?
Hey, how you doing? And the irony of this, what we're going to be talking about today, I'm actually drinking out of a Miami Heat cup. So it's a little precursor to what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, I'm drinking, but it's not a Miami Heat cup. Lord Jesus. All right. So, as our loyal listeners and viewers know, we keep it raw, we keep it real. So today is going to be a Dwyane Wade dick sucking fest because we both love Dwyane Wade.
Exactly.
He will be entering the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame Saturday. I have taken that day off. Kevin, let me tell you, for the last 2 weeks, I've been a crying bitch every time I think about it. So if I have a moment here, you're going to have to help me through it. Now, with that said.
I will. I'll tell you to suck it up, bitch.
Look, I've told everybody, don't call me, don't text me Saturday. I'm locking myself in my house, and I'm just focusing on Dwyane. I want to start with this, and then, we'll get into your thoughts. My basketball journey began with Charles Barkley. He was my favorite player growing up. Hall of Famer. Then it went to Alonzo Mourning. Hall of Famer. And now we are on Dwyane Tyrone Wade Jr. Lord, I can't talk today. And we can say Hall of Famer with him as well. When you first saw Dwyane Wade, what were your thoughts on him?
See, when I first saw him, I'm watching the NCAA tournament, and I'm watching Marquette's run. Mind you, we don't know a lot about Marquette down here. We follow the teams that we know, like the North Carolinas, the Dukes. Around the time he was coming in, Florida was picking up steam. So with Billy Donovan, they had a good basketball team. So of course I paid attention to the NCAA tournament, but I saw this little, not even a big guy then. He was a little skinny 6'3", 6'4" shooting guard for Marquette that was just going out there and having himself days during the biggest spots you can see it. And I'm like, oh, well, this kid's going to be good. Little did we know where he was going to be picked or everything, but you could see how good he was going to be just watching the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, come to draft time, you hearing all these names because you got to think he was playing in the tournament same time Carmelo was going off in the tournament.
Right.
So he was having his games and Carmelo was having his games. And then, of course, you had that other guy that was going to be in this draft. And then you even had
about him. This ain't his
and
game.
then you even had Chris Bosh in the tournament. So all these guys were in this NCAA tournament, and Dwyane Wade was standing out with the best of them. And Dwyane Wade was the lesser talked about of all the guys that were coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. I first saw him on a random Saturday afternoon where there was absolutely nothing on TV, and I'm flipping through the channels because I don't watch college basketball until tournament time. But this was actually before the tournament, and I watched a few minutes, probably a half of Marquette. Couldn't even tell you who the fuck they were playing, and that was the first time I saw Wade. And then I saw him in the tournament against Kentucky, and I'm like, okay, that's the kid I saw before, and I remember them saying how mature he was. He was a young father going through some things. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then here comes the draft. During that time, if you remember, our backcourt was pretty much solid. We needed a big. So I thought we were going to go big. They were talking about Chris Bosh and things like that. I think at that time, Alonzo Mourning had transitioned out. I forgot where he was, but he had transitioned out. So we needed a big. So when they drafted Dwyane Wade, I'm like, the first thought was, I remember this kid. The second thought was, what are we gonna do with Eddie Jones, who I hated, but I'm just saying, it's like, what are we gonna do with him? I for years I never said Eddie Jones' name because I hated him that much. For years, I just used to address him as number 6.
It's good to see. It's good to see you've gotten over it.
I have, but I can't remember when it was, but I remember that team lost in Wade's rookie year. That team lost like the first 7 games, and it was Wade's rookie year. I believe it was Stan's first year. Stan,
Yeah, it was.
You gotta love him.
Yeah, it was.
And just watching Dwyane, Karan, Lamar Odom, Brian Grant, just watching those guys gel together in that first year was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But the kid was legit. The kid came out in the playoffs, hit the series winner against Charlotte, gave Indiana all they could. That's when the world knew, okay, something special about this kid, even despite the press that the other guy in Cleveland was getting. I'm not even going to say his name today. But, and Carmelo Anthony in Denver, Dwyane Wade was special and everyone knew that. When Shaq came to Miami, did you think at that time it was going to be an immediate title contender?
When Shaq got there, it was, to me, it was one of those things where it was like, all right, they have the piece that they were missing. They had that guy now that was going to provide that veteran leadership to help the young guys away. And I didn't think it was when Shaq got there. To me, it was when they started putting all the pieces in with them. Like they went out and got Jason Williams. They went out and Posey and all these guys, they started placing them around this team and made it what I call Wade centric. Because even with Shaq there, they still was trying to center the team around Dwyane Wade. Because Shaq was, when Shaq got there, Shaq was older. Shaq wasn't the Shaq you think of when everybody says, well, Dwyane had Shaq. And dude, Shaq wasn't Shaq. Shaq was Shed when he got to Miami. He was on that downward spiral or downward part of his career because he still was good while he was there. He just wasn't the Shaq that everybody thought. But it was when they placed the pieces around everything to set it up to where, look, this is going to be Wade's team. But now we have everything around it to make it where we can gel everybody together and we have the pieces in place. But when Shaq got there, I was like, okay, we can do something with this. Because like you said, we were guard heavy at the time. So getting Shaq got rid of a lot of those pieces that we didn't need and brought in to where we were able to fill in the holes to where they definitely had them.
Right. That and I didn't prep for this because God knows we never prep for this. We just wing it.
No. What's prep?
Yeah, we just wing it, which is the best way. If I can remember correctly, and I believe it was because Shaq year 1 and Shaq year 2 were a little different. The Heat were contenders both years, but I can't remember which year it was. But there was a game. It was against the Wizards. There was a series against the Wizards. So that was probably year 2. And Wade went off. I believe Shaq missed a game or two, and Wade went off. It was year 2 because Zoe was there. Yeah, I remember now. It was year 2. He absolutely went off. It was a tight game. Can't remember if it went to overtime or not. But Dwyane Wade lost his everlasting mind. I remember he made a tough basket and kind of flexed and snarled, and Alonzo Mourning was standing behind him, and Zoe had the biggest smile on his face.
Yeah.
Because we know how intense Alonzo was.
I was about to say, Zoe appreciates when anybody flexes and snarls because Zoe was the king of flexing and snarling.
I used to have the picture of that on my phone. I believe when Wade was walking away, Zoe like touched him on his head or something. I literally used to have the picture of that as the screensaver on my phone.
Zoe looked like Zoe reminded you of that proud like uncle
Yeah.
that just saw his nephew dunk on somebody or something and was like, yeah, that's my nephew. That's what it kind of looked like.
So when the Heat went on their first championship run, that was D-Wade year 3. And the craziest thing about that was, I mean, the internet was still young back then, don't get me wrong, but I'm on message boards and all kinds of shit back then. And I remember finding an article, and I can't remember the publication because we're talking about 20 years ago now. The off season before that, so year 2, we lost to Detroit in the conference finals, which was bullshit because Wade got hurt.
Wade got hurt. Yep.
If he wouldn't have got hurt, we would have won that series. Absolutely would have won that series. And we were up in Miami in Game 7 by like 7 points with 2 minutes left, and they blew it. And that was the end of Stan Van Gundy at that point. But anyways, I'm not gonna go there. Yep. I saw an article and it said Wade's late agent Henry Thomas had everything lined up for him as far as all these endorsement deals. All they needed him to do was win a championship. I kid you not. I saw that the summer before that championship season. So it was already laid out. Okay, this is what's going to happen. We just need this kid to win.
Yep.
And it happened. It absolutely happened. And that series against Dallas, I tell you, when we lost the first 2 games and then we're losing game 3, I left my house. I called my nephew. I said, I have to leave. I got to get away from here. And we went to the park and started shooting around. And I'm checking my phone. And then we actually came back and won. I'm like, oh, shit. All right, we got one.
This is when checking your phone wasn't like checking your phone now.
Dude, it took like 5 minutes.
Yeah, this was checking your phone. You checked it. It still said it was in the 4th quarter, and the game was already over by like 30 minutes by the time you got to check it on your phone. It wasn't like it is today. But there was a point, and to go back on it, there was a point in time, and I don't care what nobody says, where Wade was the best player in the NBA for a 3-year span. Even with everybody else that was in the league, he was the best player in a 3-year span. Like, hands down, bar none, best player. When I tell people that, they were like, oh, no. Ever since he's been in the league, that guy has been the best player. I was like, no. There was a point in time to where this guy was the best player in the league. And you can ask anybody because people were putting their eyes on him. And he was the best player in the league. Gatorade had that commercial. I don't know if you remember it. The one where it was fall down 7 times, get back up 8. And that was one of those commercials to where, okay, this is how we're going to market this guy. This guy is, and when I was watching back, I was like, he's a throwback because he plays the way that they were playing in the 90s. It wasn't 3-pointers. It wasn't all this stuff. It was drive to the hole, use your mid-range game, do the things like all these other guards back then were doing. He just wasn't as big as all these guys. And he took an ass whooping, which caught up with him. But there for a while, he was the best player in the NBA. I don't care what people say. People argue with your mama. Because you ain't going to argue with me about it because, as they say, well, stats tell you everything. Okay, well, go back to that 3-year period and tell me whose stats were better. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. If all you want to do is scream stats, go back to that 3-year period and tell me who was better.
I know one of those years he led the league in scoring, and he could have been second another year, despite the early injury problems at that time too.
All because when he was in school, he tore his leg up, and back then they didn't have the stuff that they have now.
Right.
So when they fixed it, they didn't fix it the correct way. So he just played with it with all these problems that he was having on it. If he would have got it fixed the correct way, we don't we don't know what would have happened by then. But what happened was pretty good. It was Hall of Fame esque, can we say?
I tell you, when I first, even when he won that first championship, I didn't think Hall of Fame. I just didn't. He was putting his resume together. I was happy that he won it so young because I was like, okay, not that he could coast for the rest of his career, but at least he got this out the way, right? Because usually
The monkey was off his back.
Right.
Like
Right.
you had guys that were in that same class with him that the monkey was going to be on their back until they win it, and one of them didn't even win it. Wouldn't even win one. One of
Yeah.
them went for the money and listening to his crazy wife instead of trying to go and get that championship to solidify his career, which Carmelo still had an outstanding career.
Yes, he did.
But he's always going to have that butt. Just like Charles had the butt.
Well,
He's gonna have the butt.
we're not talking about Charles.
No, but I'm just saying. Charles still
Yeah,
has the butt. Yeah.
he does. Yeah, he does. Um, so 2010, we lose to Boston. It was 5 games, and the series was close. It was closer than that. It was a close series. We lose to Boston. There were whispers of maybe there was whispers in Florida of maybe LeBron coming to Florida, but the national media wasn't on that then. They were still stuck on New York and shit in Chicago.
Of course.
People in Florida kind of knew what was going on because there was hints throughout that year that LeBron was coming. There were a lot of hints that the national media did not pick up on for whatever reason.
The biggest hint's the Olympics, people. I was like, all you had to do was pay attention to what was happening during this time. During this time where they were the two names that you always saw together when they were playing in the Olympics and when they were playing for the US team was Wade and LeBron. Those were two guys that were always together. Mind you, they had the other posse with them. Yeah. But the two main guys you always saw together were them two. And I'm like, okay, you haven't put together what's going on yet. Funny part about that story. We'll just go into this story. We're sitting at, I go to Ken's Wing House on 192 because I was living in Orlando at the time. Mm-hmm. So we go there because I want to watch the crazy press conference. So I'm sitting there with a bunch of Knick fans. And they're all like, he's coming to New York. He's coming to New York. He's coming to New York. I said, I'll bet every one of y'all our dinner that he ain't going to New York. Where is he going? I said, he's going to the place that I'm wearing because I have my Heat stuff on. And I said, I'll bet y'all my dinner. Oh, you're on. So I ordered everything because I knew what was coming. I started ordering everything. And my wife, Crystal, at the time, she looked at me and we had Austin. She looked at me and goes, you know something that I don't know that you're ordering all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, because they're going to have to pay for it. And then when he said the magic words, I was like, I went up to the bar and sat my check down. I was like, there y'all go. Y'all can handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fun time. And I think I've showed you this before, but I'm going to show it to the people again. Hold on 1 second. Because this was tweeted out, I believe, 2 or 3 days before the decision. And it's crazy because this was in the very early days of Twitter, man, which is X now, which fuck that guy at this point.
X going to give it to you.
I still can't believe this. That look at this. This was tweeted out 3 days before the decision. And I know you can't see the caption because it's really small, but it says it feels like someone is missing. At this point, I already knew because Wade had signed, Bosh had signed, with the Heat. So I'm like, okay, this has to be LeBron. So I already knew.
When Bosh signed, I went, that's it. And people are like, what? I was like, that's it. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, somebody else is going to be right there in the middle. I said, you have your guard, you have your power forward. Now you need the guy that's going to be right there. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, God darn, y'all people were stupid. I was like, there's a reason all of them were there together.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a reason all these guys, the idiot. What everybody don't realize is the one guy that messed it up was Carmelo signing the extension in New York because it wasn't supposed to be Bosh. It was supposed to be Carmelo. But he listened to whatever her name was. What was it, Layla? Or Lala or whatever, the girl from MTV. Lala. Yeah, the girl from MTV. He listened to her. He re-signed with New York. But Bosh was supposed to be Carmelo Anthony. And that's who was supposed to be there. I prefer the Bosh being there before the Carmelo thing being there because I don't know what would have happened with Carmelo there. But Bosh had his key moments. But I'm like, look here, people. This is going to happen. And this is only going to make all of them better. Not just one or two. This is going to make all of them better. And we know what happened after that.
This part of Wade's career is so much deeper. And, the Hardwood Nation was taken off around this time. But for me personally, for him to sacrifice, and let's just say his spot as the number one guy nationally, I mean, in Florida, we all know it was still his team. But nationally, for him to sacrifice his spot, and I do remember him saying one time, sacrifice is more than a word. He sacrificed his spot. He sacrificed his money for the better good.
He sacrificed him being known as a good guy because this vilified a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
This made it where those guys were going to be vilified because they went and done this together. Like they just didn't do the shit in Boston or anywhere else. But because of who it was, this was getting vilified more than any other thing that has happened.
Yeah. This, the 4 years that the unnamed was there.
We already named him. You said it earlier.
Well, I'm not going to say it again.
I went the whole time. I went the whole time without saying it. You said it.
The 4 years that he was there were, as a fan, the worst 4 years of my life. But watching Wade's maturity during this time, watching his sacrifice really made me look at him differently, but in a good way. Where I was like, okay, it's almost at this point bigger than basketball, what he's doing. Because he had, like you said, he had the championship. He was a made man. He didn't have to help LeBron. Oh, I did it again. Sorry.
He two owe me. Oh.
He didn't have to help him. He didn't have to sacrifice his team for him. He didn't have to do any of that. And it just showed how much of a leader he truly was. LeBron had, God damn it.
That's three.
Number 6 had the headlines. But Wade was the heart and soul of that team, alongside of Udonis, but I'm just saying. It just showed me a different side of him. And it was so impactful to my life and to even what I do to this day. His sacrifice was so impactful because it's like, if you take like-minded people and you have a singular goal, if everyone sacrifices, you can do great things. That can be in sports, that can be in business, that can be in love, life, whatever. And it's a shame that something so simple still cannot be done because people are selfish.
Two guys took a back seat.
Yeah.
So that they could have success. Two guys who were stars. One of them a superstar, the other one an all-star. Both of them Hall of Famers. But both of those guys took a back seat so one guy could get the headlines and one guy could finally get to the spot to where everybody can say, okay, he's going to be one of the greatest ever to play.
Right.
But I watched, but we talking about this, and we're talking about those years. Those 4 years frustrated me, especially as a fan, because one, all we had to do was answer questions of, well, you jumped this and you did this when he came here, and then you did this and this and this, and then y'all. I said, no, hold. Time out. Don't make me go pull my 06 shirt out, because I'll start wearing that bad boy around before I even pull out one that has these guys on it. I said, so one, we're not even going to talk about this. Two, I would go out of my way to not defend the person that shall not be named, even at basketball games, yelling at so-called Heat fans, which you were a witness to in Orlando.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was painful to it kind of hurt sometimes, because you know what he was giving up, and what if we're having to take it as fans. Imagine how they're having to take it, as in, you wasn't good enough, you had to go and get them. And talking to Dwyane and Bosch, you wasn't good enough. No, it was the other way around. He couldn't do it by himself, so he ran and got his friends to help him. It wasn't that those guys couldn't do it, because one guy already proved he could do it. Yeah. It was the other people having to come and get over that hump, because that one guy has already been over that hump. And that's what I tried to get people to understand. I was like, dude, it's not that these two guys matched up with him. It was that those two guys matched up with Wade.
Right.
Wade didn't go anywhere. Wade already did something that all those other guys in that class haven't done, and that was have a ring. He was the catalyst for all of this. He was the one that they went to when they needed help, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
And as we've seen years later, when a certain other team got the help that he needed, he got a little uppity because he wasn't getting his way, and he hauled ass out of there, which is exactly his MO. But nevertheless, Dwyane, Wade, it just goes to show how much he put himself in the back to help others come forward, because he was already been in that forward position for 3 to 4 years. He was already in that forward position. Right. But now he went back. He took those 2 to 3 steps back so somebody else could come forward.
It's a very low mini. And my dad used to say that, very low mini. But it's a very low mini of professional athletes of his stature who would do that. I don't think in my time of watching basketball, I've ever seen that. The greats don't do that. And that's what made Wade so different, that he was able to play.
There's very few greats in any sport that is going, look here, I'm going to take less money. I'm going to put myself in a different position. That way we can move forward as a team. Like there's very few guys that have done that. Tom Brady did it in New England, where he was like, look, I'll take less money if we can field a team around me that's going to win. That was very successful in New England. Even when he went to Tampa, he didn't take this big, gigantic amounts of money, because Tampa was able to still field a great team around him. Right. And I was like, real leaders do that kind of stuff. Real leaders Mind you, he did worry about his paycheck later on when everything else happened. But real leaders during that time, he was doing what a leader should do. And he was putting the team before himself. Then when it come time to put himself there, the team, I'm still pissed about it. The team should have fucking stepped up.
Yeah. So
there should have never been those years to where he goes and wears a different jersey. Never.
So about that, I sent you the article. Listen, Lord, I'm so off right now. I sent you the video that he did with Miami Dan, and God knows I love Miami Dan.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sometimes when he starts talking about the other shit, nah. But the Heat stuff, yes. Other shit, I don't give a shit about.
So this week, Dwyane Wade was a guest on the Dan Le Batard show podcast, and Wade did mention. Now he didn't say that he would have stayed, but he did mention that he regrets that. He wishes they could have had different conversations, and he was actually blaming himself. But he was like, "I wish the conversations would have been different with the Heat during that time." Did the Heat lowball him? Absolutely. Pat Riley was trying to lowball him. Absolutely. But it was for the greater good of the team, so I do kind of understand that. I understand both sides, but you're right. He should have never been allowed to go to Chicago, which was. I refused to watch any Bulls games. I couldn't. Even though him and Jimmy was there, I couldn't do it. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't watch it. That's one of my regrets because I didn't see those guys play together. So that's one of my regrets.
But a good thing did happen from that.
Yes, a very good thing. It took a little longer, but a very good thing.
but the good thing happened out of that, and I think Jimmy even mentioned it the other day when he goes, that man told me if I come to Miami, I'm going to succeed.
Yeah.
He said point blank, Dwyane looked at me and said, if you go there, you will have success because you were built for there.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you needed. If if a place has that much cachet to where their guy that they named the county after, that people renamed the county after, like if he's telling you you're going to fit, you're going to take that to heart. And mind you, years later, it took a little longer than expected, but now you see Jimmy reaping the benefits of being there.
Absolutely.
I would just like to watch them play together there.
Yeah.
And not play together there. No offense to Chicago. No offense to Chicago, because I like Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where my basketball fandom started. So I'm okay with Chicago, but I would have just liked to take those memories of that and just shoot them out of my mind like Men in Black. Like those years, I don't even want to remember, and I definitely don't want to remember when he was wearing that ugly ass Cleveland uniform.
Well, I mean, he didn't even play much there.
Exactly.
It was a year and a half. It was only a year and a half, but I swear it felt like 5 years.
It felt like 12.
and the Cleveland, when LeBron recruited him to Cleveland, I'm
nope,
like, okay,
he did it again.
I was like, this might be a good thing, they could help each other there as well. But there was a locker room mutiny. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but there was a locker room mutiny. You had number 6 or number 23 at the time, and his side. And then you had these young guys over here. Okay, so Wade didn't last very long. They were like, okay, let's get Wade out of here. I remember I was at work. I was a retail manager. I had no idea this was going to happen. I got a notification on my phone that said Dwyane Wade was traded to Miami.
And then I got a notification on my phone from you.
What did I say? Because I don't remember what I said.
You were like, fucking hell. It was like a bunch of curse words. And I was like, what? I was like, what's going on? And then you were like, he's back, motherfucker. And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. We got it now. And I was like, well, that's good.
Let me tell you what I did. I was working the store. Of course, the retail life is hard. I was there by myself. When I got the notification that he was back in Miami, dude, I shut the store down. I pulled out my laptop and I typed up an article really quick. The store was shut down for like 30 minutes. I can't remember what sign I put on the door to be like, leave me alone. But I shut that retail store down, bro. I was like, fuck this shit.
It was funny though, because it happened. And then I think I was one of the first people you texted or something like that. Yeah. But I got the text and I was like, holy shit. And you were like, yeah, I'm writing an article right now. I'm even at work. And I was like, this bitch done shut down where he's working so he could write an article. I was like,
ball is life, man.
I was like, this motherfucker.
Ball is, I remember probably before I text you, when I first saw the tweet notification, whatever the fuck it was, when I first saw it, my knees buckled. Because I just didn't expect it. And I didn't even expect Wade at that point to come there and make an impact. It was just a simple fact
that he was home.
Home. Yeah. That's what it was.
Because even when he went to Chicago, everybody's like, oh, well, he's going back home and everything. That didn't feel like a homecoming. It felt like, okay, Dwyane's going to get his money now. He's just going back to Chicago where he's from, but it didn't feel like he was home. But like I still remember the first game where he came back and he came off the bench and the place went absolutely fucking ballistic when he came out. And you're like, okay, see, that is how home reacts. I was like, Chicago gave him a good round of applause because they got him. But that is how you know you have come home. And that's people showing their appreciation for everything that you have done, and you have sacrificed your health for that community. And the things that he had done in that community meant a lot to Miami. And they showed their appreciation in the biggest way possible.
Usually, great players transition. Some of them do come off the bench. At that time, Dwyane Wade did not have to come off the bench. And I believe that was another telling thing about what he was willing to do to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. The kid is just absolutely fucking phenomenal. You know, his last year and a half in the league was in Miami, coming off the bench, but still being impactful. Game winners, triple doubles. Dude, it's wild. It's so wild. His last game in Miami. Again, I was at work. I was in my office. I was no good that day. Crying the whole fucking time. You know, they're doing all the celebration for him and shit. You know, his last home game. I'm probably gonna do that again in a couple of days. But I will never, even though, and I'm going to say this, even though some of his off the court stuff I don't agree with, I will say that. I will never say anything bad about Dwyane Wade. He has impacted my life deeper than anyone could ever know. And I know you feel the same way. As far as him going to the Hall of Fame, Lord, we didn't even talk about him leading the Redeem team in scoring. I understand the Kobe Bryant love for that, but Wade led that team in scoring and coming off the bench, so we have to give him a little love for that. What are your lasting thoughts on D-Wade's legacy in Miami?
The lasting thoughts for him, if he never goes to Miami, Miami is not the destination that it is now for players to want to go to Miami, or for Miami to be the way that it is now with the way that these guys play basketball. Because if you watch how they play and how everything does, there's still that sense of the way that Dwyane Wade played the game. The intensity, the talent, the everything there still screams how Dwyane Wade plays that game. And without him going there, I don't know if all these things happen. I don't know if '06 happens. I don't know if Pat Riley coming back into coaching happens. I don't know if Pat Riley staying in Miami and building what he has built since happens. Everything that has happened there since he came into the league is because of him. He built Heat culture. Heat culture started with Dwyane Wade. And people can argue it all they want to. It started when he got there. He was the personification of Heat culture. He was a undersized two guard that played the game with reckless abandon and with all the heart that you can play a game with for being a guy his size. He was the epitome of what the Miami Heat have become and now what everybody have known. So without Dwyane Wade, we would never have Miami the way we have it now. And again, everything he does, I don't agree with, but you will never get me to say a bad thing about him because I know other stuff that he's done that has been okay with. Even though he's doing that terrible TV show called The Cube, I still there's few athletes that have effect on me that I will never say a bad word about. Michael Jordan, Emmett Smith, Fred Taylor, Dwyane Wade, guys like that have a special place to people that watch sports. Sports are our getaway. Sports are where we can sit there and we can get away for those few hours and life takes a different turn. And if it wasn't for him, basketball after Michael Jordan left, for me, was when he got there. When he got there and he pumped life back into me when it came to watching basketball. So my appreciation for him and for what he's done for Miami and what he's helped develop in Miami and being the key catalyst to where they are now, he will always have a special place in my fandom and in my sports love. He will be right up there with the rest of the greats for me. And I am so glad that we are now able to call him a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. And, you speaking of Heat culture, the craziest thing is, even though in Miami we didn't see Wade and Butler play together, we missed it by a year. Sometimes I watch Jimmy out there, man, and it's almost like I'm looking at Wade. It's just like, Jimmy's a little bigger, a little stronger, but it's just sometimes it's like we're not even missing a beat. Like from losing, due to retirement, losing the greatest player in franchise history to this quick transition to the Jimmy Butler years, dude, it was seamless. It was absolutely seamless, God knows I love Jimmy, and one day Jimmy's going to be in the Hall of Fame, even though he doesn't give a fuck. We know, but
yeah, he don't care.
He don't care. But Jimmy's going to be there.
The thing is, I always say this about people though. When they say they don't care, or when they mention something, guess what? They care.
They care.
They care. If you think somebody who's like, if you go and play something, and then you lose or everything, and then afterwards you're like, I don't care, but you still bring it up. The fact that you brought it up means you give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And means you care. So let's stop acting like all these people don't care, because they care. Everybody's like, well, Jokic didn't care that he won all this stuff. He just wanted to go
Oh,
home.
he
No,
did.
that
No, he
motherfucker cared.
Yeah,
That
he did.
motherfucker cared. Anytime that you can hoist a trophy or put a ring on or anything, you care.
Jokic is fantastic.
And we're going, and I'm going to say this, and I know people have bitched about it and everything else because of who shall not be named by me at least. They'll put him up there first. Dwyane Wade is the best basketball player to ever put on a Miami Heat jersey. Point blank. I don't care. You want to know why I'm saying this? Because he did that shit in 06 without anybody. Yes. Shaq was there, but Shaq didn't do jack shit. Guess who the second leading point scorer on that team was in 06 in the finals?
Alonzo,
Any guess?
Right?
No. It was Walker.
Oh, yeah, Antoine, yeah.
At 15 points a game. Guess who the leading rebounder on the team was? Not Shaq. It was Alonzo Mourning.
Oh, Alonzo, okay.
And guess who was behind him? Dwyane Wade.
Right, I knew Wade was up there, yeah.
Yeah, Wade was the second leading rebounder.
Yeah.
So don't get me with all this stuff. 06 solidified him as the best player to ever put on a Miami Heat jersey, and it didn't matter what he did afterwards. Yeah, because I agree. He brought that championship.
He did.
He brought it. If not for him, you don't have one in 06. And he's still looking for it when everybody else was still looking for it. But him wearing that jersey was the best thing that ever happened for the Miami Heat. Them going and getting that guy was the best thing that ever happened for the Miami Heat.
That's impactful.
And they had success before he got there. And the greats that played there before he got there, sure, they did what great things. But until he got there, he was the best thing that happened for that franchise.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I will say briefly, I've made some people mad when I say Jimmy Butler's passing LeBron James as far as Heat status, but I piss a lot of people off with that.
Jimmy's passing LeBron for one reason and one reason only. Because people like Jimmy.
Yeah, they love Jimmy.
People down there like Jimmy, and people outside of Miami like Jimmy. Mm-hmm. The thing was, a lot of people down there didn't like number 6. And a lot of people outside of Miami, except for all the humpers, don't like number 6.
Look,
there's a difference. They got vilified. This team's not vilified. This team is boosted up because they're doing shit they're not supposed to do. Last year wasn't supposed to happen. The year before with the number 1 seed wasn't supposed to happen. The bubble shit wasn't supposed to happen. Anything that Jimmy is attached to with Miami wasn't supposed to happen. But it happened anyway, and that's why he gets so much love for us, because we expected that shit to happen back then. We expected all of that stuff. We didn't expect shit to happen with this team that has happened with it, and we're just along to enjoy the ride, and we enjoy the shit out of our leader.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to move on to the end really quick. You know, I work in a call center, and, you know, you're chit-chatting with different people. I get about 20 calls a day. And, you know, I talk about basketball as much as I can. So when people ask me, they're like, who's your favorite team? I say the Miami Heat. Years past, when number 6 was there, I used to shy away from it because I knew what was coming. Now, like you said, when I say I'm a Miami Heat fan, the first thing that comes out of people's mouth 90% of the time is, oh, my God, I love Jimmy Butler. This is different.
It's because Jimmy don't present himself like other people did.
Right.
Jimmy doesn't bring that out in people.
Yeah.
When you have somebody the stature of that other guy, he brings shit out in people that people don't like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My
Okay.
biggest thing with not liking that guy is because you keep comparing him to the greatest basketball player that ever lived. You keep this comparison going, and then you keep throwing these stupid stats out there for a guy that played 20-something years, shot 2,000, 3,000 more three-pointers and all this crap, and said, well, look what he did in scoring. Like, them stats I don't give a shit about those stats. Because if you give MJ those stats, guess what MJ has done? MJ has blowed that thing out of the water. So I'm not even going to get into all that. I know just by watching who the best basketball player for me is. Jimmy's never come in and said, I'm the best. I need this. I need that. And all this crap. Jimmy has done it. He's done it the Wade way.
Yeah.
Where he's come in and he's led this team. This team full of misfits, because this is what it is. This is a team. This is a team full of people that nobody wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even us as fans, some of us don't even want these people on our team. But yet he is still. We want him gone so we can bring in somebody else. But yet he is still leading this band of misfits and broken toys to where we have went, and that's why he is loved.
Yeah, he is
He is
exceptionally loved.
He is loved like Dwyane Wade is loved because he has went about it the same way that Dwyane Wade has.
Right.
When Dwyane's first part of his career, he is doing it the way Dwyane Wade did.
Mm-hmm.
He is doing it. And mind you, if a trade goes through, we're going to trade for some old guy like they did for Shaq.
That's going to help, though. That's going to help. Should he stay healthy? That's going to help.
Yes. If he stays healthy and he still goes and gets his own shot. That's what all I give a shit about.
Call me, Dave. Call me. So we're gonna wrap it up. But I would like to personally, even though he doesn't know me,
exactly.
I would like to personally congratulate and give all my love and blessings to Dwyane Tyrone Wade Jr. for being inducted again into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. I can't believe I got through this thing without crying. Me and Bryce did a podcast Sunday, and I literally almost broke down in the middle of the podcast.
You want to know why you can get through this without crying? Because I don't let people cry.
That's what it is. You keep me happy.
I keep you doing that giggle and that laugh the whole entire time, so I don't let you focus on letting the tears flow.
Well, there will be tears Saturday, not only because of Wade, but because of Dirk. But we're not talking about Dirk today.
That's another guy. And the funny part is, and I'll go. The funny part is, those guys their careers are intertwined just because the stuff that happened between them.
Yeah.
Dwyane Wade carries his team against Dirk in 2006 to win the championship. Dirk puts a band of misfits on his back.
He did, yeah.
And beats a super team to win his first title.
Yeah.
It's so eerily similar, their careers and how they've connected and wound together. But Dirk will always be, and we'll talk a little bit about Dirk. He deserves it.
Yeah.
Dirk will always be the guy who has brought this new era of basketball into the NBA. He was the first guy to bring in that European style and innovate and change the way that the NBA is being played. And you can see all the influence from Dirk now when you watch the game. But he was that guy that brought it from over there to here and completely changed the game, and I hate him for it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we got nothing but love for Dirk and his family. His wife, Jesus Christ, she kind of looks like Brandy Rhodes. All right, so
Adrenaline. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. All right.
Whoa! Oh, sorry.
Calm
Now
down.
I have a picture in my room. It's
Oh
of
my
Dwyane
God.
Wade. It says, "My will is to always be better and better and better,
Mhm.
and I've got the will to want to be the best." And that says it all for me, because guess what, sir? Now you can be considered one of the best to do it, because you are going in to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Congratulations from all of basketball, but especially from those people that got to appreciate you throughout your whole career and being Miami fans. We probably wouldn't be Miami fans if it wasn't for you. And we enjoyed every single minute that we got to watch you on the basketball court and cherished it. We are sad your career got cut short, because we know it did because of the knees, but we still got to enjoy the greatness that was Dwyane Wade. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin, tell the people where they can find you at.
You can find me at Kevin C 2415, and I'm going to set up another burner that's called at I Ain't Gonna Let CL Cry during a podcast. That's too long of a thing, though. I don't think I can get all that in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too many. I don't know if the X will let you do that.
X going to give it to you.
Please like, subscribe, and share our content. You know, the Hardwood Nation is on all platforms because everyone needs a little hardwood.
Not me. Not me. I'm perfectly fine without it.
Dude, every time I say that, people are like, what? I'm like, yeah. Everyone stay safe, and
But if you know somebody that's in need of some hardwood, they can just call me. I'll be on.